Hello, Carrie. I'm so glad that you came in today. It's my understanding that you're writing a paper for your class on financial aid, so you have some questions for me.
Yes.
Okay.
How does financial aid work, and what is the process, and why does it matter?
I'm going to start with the last. Why does it matter? And then what is the process, and move my way up. It matters because it's important if you want to get a good job. Financial aid will help bridge the gap between what you can afford to pay and what the federal government will be able to put in toward your tuition fees and some living expenses. It's been shown that those students who go on to school after high school have a better source of livelihood in terms of how much they'll be able to contribute to society. Their income earning is better. It's very important, and I'm so happy that we're here to be able to assist students in doing that. And the process is very simple. Simply fill out the free application for federal student aid, and we call it the FAFSA, each January, and you're on your way.
What is the FAFSA?
The FAFSA is the mechanism by which you apply for financial aid. It is a tool that is published by the United States Department of Education, and it asks questions about your family size, income, if you're dependent, meaning you're still living at home with mom and dad and under 24, and assets. And from this, there's a formula that's derived of what we call the effective family contribution, and that tells us how much that you're going to be eligible for in Pell Grant, which is a federal grant, money you don't have to repay, and it lets us know how much student loans you may be eligible for as well as institutional grant aid and work study too.
How do I know what I'm getting in financial aid?
Well, it could differ from school to school, but because we're talking here at DMACC, I'm going to push the Warren Area Community College. And we will notify you when you file the free application for federal student aid. I'm going to refer to it as the FAFSA from here on out. Maybe. I may switch back and forth. I don't know. Let me know if I do or don't. Okay, it's a very easy process. We notify you that we've received the FAFSA information electronically. And if there's any documents that we need from you in addition to what you've already done, then we would notify you of that as well. And once my staff reviews the information to make sure of its accuracy, we notify you at your DMACC email address telling you what type of financial aid we're offering in the areas of work, grants, and loans.
How long do I have to wait for a refund, and how do I get it?
That's a very popular question, because once the process is over and before that the refund, the tuition bill has to be paid, and the school will ensure that the bill is taken care of before any refund is issued to your Hire One account. And you set up a Hire One account with the Student Accounts Office at the institution, and any refunds that we're giving you will be given at that time. And usually the first refund isn't given out until around the 14th day of class. If you are a first-time borrower, okay, your student loans will be delayed. Your excess student loans will be delayed 30 days. And if you're not, then around that 14th day, the refund can be issued to that account. But first, the college bill must be settled.
Okay. What is the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans?
Very good question. When we get that one a lot. And a subsidized, if you think, oh my, I don't have to pay interest. It's being subsidized. It's being taken care of by the federal government while I'm in school. The unsubsidized loan can still be given to you in the same amount. Let's say you're a first-year student. That amount is going to be around $3,500, $1,750 each term. For additional $2,000 in unsub, which is the interest will accrue on that unsub while you're still in school, but not the subsidized, because it's being taken care of or subsidized by the federal government, as long as you continue to be a half-time student.
Why should I get federal loan versus a private loan?
Well, the U.S. Department of Education now is pushing all schools and encouraging all of us to say federal loans first, because the federal loans are right now at 3.86%, both subsidized and unsubsidized, and sometimes the private loans could be higher. They could have different repayment plans, and you should always get the loan that the school is offering via the federal government first, because it really is going to be in your best interest, because we can help you with any issues that may come up with the loan. lower interest rates perhaps than a private lender, and just better contact overall. I think we still will help you with private loans. Here at DMACC, our private loan volume has decreased significantly. The majority of our students have either a subsidized or unsubsidized student loan.
How do grants differ from loans?
Loans are monies that you will need to repay to the federal government, and that repayment could start if you don't finish the term and you have to drop out for any reason, or if you go below half-time, because you can't get a student loan unless you're half-time, and that's fall, spring, that's 6 credits per credit hour. Summer, it's 4 because 8 is considered full-time in the summer. So if you stay at least half-time, then you're in good stead until you're out of school, and then your repayment kicks in, and that's a different situation. But it's very easy to stay in good graces with the federal government as long as you're a half-time student.
How do interest rates work on my loans, and because of them, how much more than my original loan amount will I pay back in the long run?
Okay, that's a good question, and one that there's lots of tools that can help you determine what your loan payment will be. The interest rates, as I said before, is right now it's about 3.8% for the federal direct subsidized and unsubsidized student loans. Parent loans is a little bit higher. Parents can take out a little bit more, but no student can get a loan above his or her cost of education, and that comprises tuition fees, books, supplies, other personal travel, all of that good stuff that college students need in order to stay in school. Now, when we look at your interest on those loans, and we're looking at over time, like I said, right now if it's subsidized, there's no interest at all accruing while you're still a student. But once you get out of school, you have an option to choose a number of repayment options, and some of those repayment options, so I thought you might ask that question today. Some of those repayment options are the standard, which is a traditional 10-year standard repayment. Then it could be extended or graduated, and then there's consolidation. But the low and income-driven plans based on your income. So a student has to look at, when I graduate from college, which plan is going to be best for me? And some of these plans will accrue more interest than others. So you may think, oh, I could defer that, I can get on this plan, but in the long run, you may pay more. So you have to decide which one is going to work. And right now, the one that has the less interest for our students is going to be the one that's dealing with the 10-year standard. It's going to be the best.
Thank you.
Hi, Derek. It's good to see you. I understand that you have some financial aid questions because you're finding a paper for a class.
Yes.
How can I help you?
Well, I have some questions like you just said. My first one is, when do I have to start paying back on my loans?
Well, you should start repaying when your grace period expires, but I want to say this first. If you cease to be at least a half-time student, which is for fall and spring terms at DMACC, it's 6 credits because 12 credits is full-time. Some are 4, 8 full-time. You start immediately, okay? You need to pay them back. But if you wait until you graduate, then you'll have a grace period, and that grace period ends 6 months after you take out your loan. And you'll start making your monthly payments based upon the payment plan that you choose, repayment plan that you choose, and there are several. And I don't tell students which one they should look at. You should look at them all, but the most common one, the one with the lowest interest, is the standard repayment plan, which is over 10 years, and it has the lowest interest. But you'll be told about them during your exit interview process, and that you have to go through when you leave DMACC, and it's on the direct loan website as well. And you choose the one that's appropriate for you, but be very mindful of the interest and how it accrues.
Okay. My next question is, what does it mean to default on my loan or to defer a loan?
Okay, deferment means like you are out of school and you can't get a job, or the job that you have is not the job, your dream job. Therefore, you'll like to, defer your payments. That's one of the options that I was mentioning. But also, if you were to continue on in school, then you can also defer your loans because you would be a full-time student. And that could be at a 4-year school, or if you're going to go to grad school, but be mindful of the deferment process as well. But you can, each school has office, and ours is our records office, that will have a form that you can go in and complete, and it will be sent to the direct loan data system, and they will know that your loans should be in deferment, that you're not using up your grace period, that you're continuing on in school.
Okay.
And how do you know when you're in default? That if your grace period expires and you're supposed to start making your payments on your student loan, and if you miss those payments, you can go so many days delinquent, and there's early stage delinquency, and there's middle stage delinquency, and then there's late stage delinquency. And that late stage delinquency is not a good place to be. And when it reaches 270 days, you're in default. And that really, meaning not you in default, your student loans are in default, and that's not good for you or the institution, because how we administer the direct loan program is really directed at how our students repay.
Okay. My next question is, how do I decide how much I should take out on a loan?
Very, very good question, because in your award notification, we may recommend a certain amount, and a lot of families think, oh, they're saying this is how much I need. But really, you should look at what are your direct costs, tuition fees, books, and what you will need to supplement that if you're not living at home, or you have a roommate and you're sharing expenses for housing. So you may not need the full amount of a subsidized loan. So let's say you're independent. Yeah, that means you're over 24 on your own. Parents didn't fill out the FAFSA with you. You did it on your own. And we would offer you as a first-year student $3,500 and subsidized if you have financial need or not. And then you'll be able to get an additional up to $6,000, $4,000 more if you like, in unsubsidized student loans. You may not need that. You may only look at, I may only want half of that because I got a part-time job. Because if you take off the money we offer and you really don't need it, and it's good to have, it's going to come due one day, and it's really, really hard to, if not impossible sometimes, to get the federal government to say, we're going to, excuse you for your loans. Usually you can't unless it's disability, permanent disability.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Thank you for answering that one. My next one is what GPA do I have to maintain for financial aid?
I wish more students would ask that question. We put it in our literature because a college has a GPA requirement, to be in good standing without having to sit out for a semester or longer. And that is pretty much the same for financial aid. We mirror each other, the financial aid department, where you have to have a 2-point GPA.
That's a C.
That's a C average. And your pace of completion for your coursework has to be at least 67%. Now, what does that mean? It means that for financial aid purposes, and we're talking financial aid specifically here, we want you to finish your program of study within 150% of the program's length. So it's a 2-year program, working on your AA degree. Okay, then we want you to finish your program with credits and everything before you reach 97 credits. It's 96 credits or less, because the government's saying you have 2 years, we give you an extra year, okay, to do that, because students change their major and things come up. All right, pace of completion means that you are progressing toward that 96 credits. In order to DMACC 2-year degrees, 64 credits usually to get a 2. So it's above that. So if you're progressing, 67% is good. If you fall below that, you won't make it. You're going to be over the 96 credit hours, and that could jeopardize your eligibility for financial aid. And so one way to think of it, we have on our homepage, we have a little calculator that you could use to determine how many hours I'm taking now, how many I have to pass to be in good standing to complete. So we sort of take the guesswork out of it for you. We also have your specific pace of completion on your web info system. When you log in and you click on financial aid, and there's choices. You can look at your award, how much we've offered you, what documents. You can also look at your pace of completion and your GPA and know if you're in good standing or not with us. So that's one way, because we look at the difference between the college and the financial aid department is that the college, our financial, I'll go in with my department, the financial aid office looks at all attempted hours, whether you receive financial aid with us or not. Any hours you attempted, we use in the calculation for PACE. So if students are sort of shy, just think 12 credits, have to pass at least 8. That's 67%.
Okay. My next question is, what important deadlines do I need to be aware of?
Every January, you should apply for financial aid. Many folk think that it's just, one time for duration of my college career, whether I stay here or move on. I did it once. No, you need to do it every semester. And also for applying, we encourage students to apply by April 1st. It's a priority, it's not a deadline. Okay, just to make sure there's enough time to get papers moving back and forth, get the paperwork done so that you're not guessing come August, is everything in place for financial aid. And also then we look at deadlines in terms of, not deadline, but just important dates when refunds will be issued. So for that reason, we have an important dates calendar on our website. We call it Release of Funds, with dates for each term, indicating when monies will be released, and that's very helpful to our students. But I would say when you file and the priority deadline, it's great to remember.
Okay.
Can I just backtrack a little bit, because I think it's important to know the dates to register for your classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very important, and as they come up for different programs, to make sure that you're getting that registration for the next term done early so that you're pretty much guaranteed a seat. It's important.
Yes, it is. Definitely. Okay, next question is, what are the different repayment options, and how do I select one that's right for me?
We talked a little bit about that, but there are, and it's a very popular question, there are several. As I said before, the repayment plan that's most used is a 10-year standard. And then there's the graduated extended and graduated, then it's income-based and pay-as-you-earn, and the income contingent. And as you can see from an example I'm going to give you, is that we have on one of our slides that may be shown, is that, let's say, Derek, you borrowed $35,000 in a direct loan, and that was your total debt, and the interest rate on that is 3.86% right now. Interest rate could change every July 1st. It's always negotiable, but that's what it is now. So, your income is $30,000, you're single, and you live in Iowa still, which is great. We want you to stay in Iowa. Okay, and your income increases at a rate about 5%. And we're just a little bit above average, just still good. Okay, 10-year standard, your initial payment would be $352. That's the monthly. And the final payment would be the same. Total paid, when it's all said and done in 10 years, would be $42,244. That's total interest paid is $7,244. Now there's other options. Let's take one, pay as you earn, which looks attractive because it's the lowest, $106 a month. So you may say, wow, this is great. I won't have to pay as much back. And the final payment will be the $352, like it would be on the standard. Total paid will be $51,000. Okay, so but you'll have 20 years. That's why the payment is lower, because they'll give you 20 years to pay it. That may sound attractive to you right away, and you might go for it, but the interest paid on that will be $20,000, $755. Now, at the time, that may be okay for you, so you might want to renegotiate if you choose any of the other plans that that the slide will go over different ones, or you can see when you exit, we'll go over those in the exit packet, the other options. But be very mindful, is it worth the additional interest to pay, have a longer payment of years? Or should I just stick it out and try to keep the interest down? These are questions that only you can answer.
Okay. All right. My last question is, if I fail classes or don't withdraw and decide to return to college later in life, how will my previous academic performance affect future financial aid?
Very good question, because remember when we talked about keeping pace, 67% total pace completion, as well as having a 2-point. Department of Ed looks at the qualitative, which is a grade point, 2-point GPA or higher. Quantitative, 67 pace. Great. If you don't have that and you withdraw and it brings that down, to something that's going to put you on warning or suspension, okay, then that will not allow us, suspension would not allow us to give you financial aid without appealing. You can appeal. How do you go about appealing a financial aid decision if you're on suspension? Suspension, again, for financial aid is when you do not earn a 2-point or more, and you have less, or you have less than 67% pace of completion. Okay, one or two or both. All right, and we give you a warning the first term. So fall semester, you didn't get that 8. You took 12 credits. You passed 6. You're going to go on warning because it's going to be below 67%. Spring term, you're on warning. Life is good, you can buckle down, you're making progress. But if you completely withdraw or fail all the classes in the fall term, you go automatically to suspension. And that means you get a letter from us saying your financial aid has been suspended until you appeal, meaning there's a form. Right, what happened? Are there any unique circumstances? Is there documentation you can attach with this? Medical, social, whatever the situation may be, that's great. We'd like to have it. And then there's another part to this, which is called an academic improvement plan that an education advisor can assist you with. All right, and that would mean they're supposed to sit down with you and say, Derek, I understand you had a tough term. I'm glad to see that you want to come back. And these are the steps that we recommend. These are the courses we recommend you take. And they're supposed to map out for you a plan, term by term, that you can say, if I take these classes and get C's in them, then by the end of the 3rd term or the 2nd term or whatever it is, I will be at pace and I'll have a 2-point. If that's given to us in our department, we say, terrific. Financial aid is reinstated. We want to give you that opportunity. And sometimes it takes students more than 1 term. So, and we're okay with that if they're following their academic plan.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.